Okay, well, welcome back to my shop. Shortly after putting up the last video on the outsides of this power supply, I got a request to do a video on the insides of the power supply. As it turns out, there really isn't much on the inside as far as electronics goes. This is more of a construction project than a electronics project. As you can see, we have this right here is the 48 volt power supply for the voltage regulator, which is up here. This is the little guy that controls the voltage for the variable output, little drock. This over here is the isolation transformer, and it basically just goes down to here, goes through that meter over there on that side for current, and it goes across this meter goes across it for voltage. And this is the power supply from old computer, which is all of the other output voltages. Like I said, mostly this was just wiring stuff up. If we look down in here, this is where all of the connections are made for the AC. The isolation transformer is turned on and off by this switch down here, and it is directly, the AC is directly controlled going into that, and so is this little 48 volt power supply, DC power supply, is controlled through the AC also, and that, you know, for turning that power on and off. The computer power supply, however, is not. It is controlled through the line on-off switch on the power supply, which basically just grounds this green wire this green wire. You ground that, and that turns on the power on the power supply up here, just like it does in your computer. You don't your computer nowadays, the switch doesn't actually turn on the AC anymore. There's always AC on your power supply, and it turns it on when you ground that switch. So that's basically the insides of it. I'm not done. Well, I need to clean up the wires a little bit and put wire ties on them and make them look nice, I suppose. But I also got a question as to how clean are these power supplies out of computers. Well, I'll tell you what. Let me put this thing back together again, and we'll take some measurements and find out. Okay, well, we now have the power supply is on. This is all coming out of the old computer power supply. Right now I've got it hooked up to the 3 volt side through the scope, and times 1, and we'll take a look and see what it looks like on the scope. So there we have the scope output. Sorry about the trace, but that's what we can see. I've got this on store right now. Tell you what, let's go get a new one. That's what it looks like when it's running. I'm on 5 millivolts per division. So we're talking, well, just on the free running input there, it's kind of hard to tell. We've got little bumpies along there. Let's take a look at one of those. Let's do there. We captured one. Let's take a look at it and see what it looks like. Yeah, we've got 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, about 35 millivolts total spike. Not very wide, and a little bump at the end of it. That's caused by the switching power supply in there. And it repeats regularly. As you can see, there's a couple of repeats. I don't know what they are exactly, but it's not the cleanest thing in the world. That is true. But for most of what I do, it's not horribly bad. Let's see if we let's get this guy. Capture another one here if I can. No. Yeah. There is on 10 millivolts per division. That's on, yeah. There's 10 millivolts per division. So let's go over and take a look at this. See what we've got for, wow, that's touchy. That's high. Oh, it's boink. It is a very touchy knob. Alright, so according to this, we've got 32.4 millivolts peak to peak on those little spikes that are on there, and they seem to be pretty constant. So yes, there is some noise coming out of these power supplies. Let's see if we can figure out something to put on here. Yeah, let's do the 5-volt side here. Here's 5 volts at 20. That's the 5 volts at 27 amps. Let's put this back on there, if you can see that. And then I'm going to hook up a little, no, wait a minute, this is a 12-volt fan. It seems to be the same pretty much no matter where you go. Let's let's hook up a little fan to it, and so we can draw some current and see what it putting it under a little bit of a load. This isn't much of a load, that's for sure, but let's see, putting it under a little bit of a load, see what that does. Kind of early in the morning, my fingers are not functioning as well as they should. Alright, so about to put the load on it. Alright, so there it is with a load. And yeah, it does have little spikes. Now what I'm at, I'm 50 millivolts per division. So that's like, oh, I don't know, let's capture this. Oh, there we go. So we've got a maximum of 60 millivolts of bounce right there, but the overall Yeah, the overall never goes above or below that. So about 60 millivolts peak to peak on that little noisy thing. Part of that might be the fan itself getting back into it too. They're not. These fans are not known for being all that quiet either. So, okay, we'll go with that. Yes, these things are a little bit noisy. However, for the money, i.e., for the most part, nothing, for a power supply, and being able to just grab one, stick it in a box, and have all those variable voltage or those voltages coming out of it, that's pretty good. You know, just for kicks, tell you what, let's take a look at that other switching power supply. This one up here. It is on, it's set for 10 volts. There we go. Okay, 10 volts, and we'll get that little fan hooking back up to it again. And this one will tell us actually what current we're drawing. Also, all right, so we're drawing about 150 mils, but I'll tell you what, this is a 12 volt fan. I'll take this up to 12 volts. There's 12 volts. So we are at about 190 milliamps, 2.3 watts at 12 volts. And guess what, folks? I think the fan is our biggest culprit here. There's our scope. And there's our pulses. Same thing, same exact thing. And that's on the little regulated power supply. So, what have we proven? For most intents and purposes, I would say that those power supplies from from old computers, well, at least reasonably new old computers. I don't know about the old 68 watt things out of the old XTs, but I would say that, man, they're good enough for average work. And I'm fine with them. I've never had any problem. They work for me at work, and they work here, and I got one down there on the floor someplace that runs my ham radios, and it works fine. So there's the answers. If you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up. If not, whatever. And talk to you again later. Thanks for watching.